Okay, and that's another Twitch Prime sub.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot of them since that article went up earlier today.
Yeah.
Did we get? Oh, an article went up.
Yeah, I posted a couple hours ago.
An announcement on the site that this was a thing people could do.
And everyone gets to see my emoji.
Yeah, I think the emoji is what driving the subs.
It's true.
I mean, it should. It's a pretty good perk.
It's a good emoji.
Oh, we need to put the security article in the podcast doc.
Oh, so people have to subscribe every month.
Yeah,
Right.
well, they have to renew. I think it prompts you to do it, doesn't it?
No, it does not.
No, you have to go in and intentionally do it. So
wow!
we'll-
so
we'll
we're gonna
just-
lose all of
that's-
ours.
Yeah.
So we just make a point of repeating it every.
We'll just
show,
we'll
and
see how it
that's
goes.
I put the reminder in the old Tunnel Bear spot. So
Yeah, we can just bump that article every month.
Yeah, we'll just promote Twitch subbing. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's drop Tunnel Bear and just promote Twitch
Yeah,
subs.
I think that's what we're doing. It's
Pays a hell of a lot better.
Well, I still like the idea of doing maybe referrals here and there, but just for something other than Tunnel Bear.
I mean, if somebody wanted to like pay us to do that, that would be nice.
I feel like contests would do well, but contests are hard on a podcast.
Yeah.
Contests are always a good way to get your hashtag brand out there.
hashtag brand.
Hashtag brands.
We can talk
That's-
to Jeff about that maybe.
All right, we ready to go?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been live.
Oh,
We were ready already before you got here.
We've been live.
Shit, damn it, fuck, son of a bitch.
Hold on, my dog's barking. Hold on one second.
Wow, your dog understands swearing? And from that far away, it's really impressive.
Dogs can hear really well. I mean, that's not the surprising part.
Liam, the answer is yes.
Yeah, you can.
Hold on, I don't think I've linked my Twitch thingy to the thingy. Can I be our top subscriber?
You could if you spend
For a
3
grand total of
cents.
$6, you can be our top subscriber.
How much?
3 cents
$6.
actually. Well,
We have a
Oh,
paid subscriber for $5. That happened 2 weeks ago.
but this guy's only 2 bits.
Oh,
That's
well,
Liam.
yeah, for
Liam
this
gave
chat.
us 2 bits. He
Mm.
gave us 2 cents. Thank you, Liam.
Yes, thank
Hold
you.
on.
And also, yes, we absolutely want your 30 seconds of silence. Actually, what we really need is 30 seconds of what sounds like silence, but would actually be a tone that is incredibly hard to hear.
We could do me eating bubble tea ASMR. I think.
Ooh,
Android, please AM sound. That'll get us
You guys
subs.
missed that pre-show.
That's
what I was doing.
that's what all the cool kids are doing on Twitch.
Hold on, I'm doing something very important before we start the podcast.
David's preparing the ASMR.
actually, what we really need is for Liam to pay for an ad spot where we'll advertise a anti-app. This is possibly an inside joke or not. I'm not sure how much you talked about.
I recall this. There's a podcast thing. I think we talked about it on the air though, so like people might remember. Probably not though.
Droid keyboard ASMR. That actually would do weirdly well.
I've got a G1 right here.
Special guest.
I don't know if you could be allowed to have Scott as a member of the podcast team. I think that's a conflict of interest. Somebody's gonna have to buy you out.
Special guest David is now the top donator.
Okay, welcome to the Android Police podcast. I don't know what we were going to talk about this week, but I just donated 1,000 bits to the podcast. And speaking of, if you don't know what bits are, and I didn't until I just bought 1,000 of them, you can get some on Twitch, which is a thing people do to watch other people play video games or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, if you go to twitch.tv and if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, just give your subscription. It's free. You get one free Twitch subscription if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. Subscribe to our channel. It gives us money, and you have to actually give us any money. Twitch gives us money. It's like magic.
It's free for you. And
I mean, you don't even have to listen to the podcast. Honestly, just do it and then resubscribe every month.
I would recommend that you don't.
Yeah, you can not listen. I'm fine with that too. Just
Also,
subscribe.
like the performance anxiety of having to provide.
Also, if we're starting the show, you should probably say who you are.
Oh, I'm David Reddick, top subscriber.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Cody Toombs, first subscriber.
I'm Corbin Davenport.
And I'm Ryan Hager.
Actually, I think I'm the #1 donor, but I'm not actually subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, you have to connect your Amazon. It is kind of a pain in the butt to do that, but I did.
Yeah, it took Artem like 3 days. I had to help him.
Hold on, let me try to do this.
No,
if you're not like one of the younger folks who like to use it all the
Android
time.
police.
This reminds me of older people that have to ask their kids how to program the VCR.
There, I
Yeah.
subscribed.
it was
like-
now.
It's Twitch is like the flashing 12 on the VCR for me. I don't quite understand how it works, and I mostly just leave it alone. I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
Now-
Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, the page where it has you connect your Amazon account was worded really weird. So I get why he's confused. He wasn't just being like an old person that doesn't understand technology. It's fine.
It's good he doesn't listen to these shows.
It is. So this week on, hey, wait, I thought somebody gave more than 2 bits. Didn't Devin give more than 2 bits? Did Devin refund his donation?
No, it resets every few days.
Yeah, it resets.
Oh, so I have to give $10 again?
I mean, if you want to remain on top,
That's lame. I want my $10 back.
No, that was wait. Oh
just
yeah,
get it
that's
on the back end. Just ask for Artem to pay you back.
God damn it. Okay. I obviously do not understand how Twitch works.
It's the VCR.
This week on the show, I don't know what we're talking about because I accidentally closed the spreadsheet or the doc. So if somebody wants to take away our first topic while I stop making an ass of myself.
So LG
So
announced
really-
a new phone this week. It's the V40, which I mean, we've never heard of that before, right? That certainly didn't
It's-
leak a bunch of times.
It's not another V30. What?
Yeah, I know. For the first time in forever, LG is announcing a phone that isn't the V30. So yeah, the V40. It has 5 cameras.
I've got one.
two on the
It's right
front,
here. It's in my hand.
and you used it for a week. That
And
was
the battery's almost dead. Yeah, we're gonna have a review of this up next week. Like it's the nicest LG phone I've ever used, far and away. Software is, it's typical LG. Nothing is worse about software than historically has ever been about LG phones. So it's fine. I think the only real problem on the software side is who knows when it's going to get Android Pie. LG says soon, but who knows what that means? That's LG speak. I think the real question is, why would you buy it instead of a Galaxy S9 Plus or Galaxy Note 9? And honestly, it's pretty hard to come up with a reason.
Yeah, I mean,
What's the screen?
it has a nicer OLED this year, right? It's better.
It
than
does. The OLED this year is pretty good. Like I'm perfectly happy with it.
that is good. But they want like $1,000 for this phone. It's like
Yeah,
not-
$900, $950 unlocked. It looks like.
Yeah, that is a crazy price, LG. I think that LG is confused about its place in the market, that it thinks it can charge like Samsung money for a phone. It cannot.
I think LG. I think part of it probably is they don't have the scale, the economies of scale for the OLED panels, and I bet they are very expensive for LG to make. So I'm sure that plays into it to some extent. That and LG just doesn't make any money on phones anymore. So they've got to price them in a way that the businesses.
like they're just throwing money into an abyss to keep making phones because they want to be a company that makes phones.
Yeah, it's totally it's a glamour thing for LG. They're not making phones to make money. I'm sure somebody at some level is telling someone like, yeah, we're gonna, our whole goal is to turn a profit. But really for LG, like this is, we have to make phones because Samsung makes phones and LG is just as good as Samsung.
I mean, I feel like if they priced their phones a little bit lower, even if they wouldn't make nearly as much on each unit, they would probably make more overall because more people would be able to justify buying them. At this point, I don't know who would actually buy this phone.
Well, we do
Yeah.
kind of live in a bubble. Like for us, this pricing seems ridiculous, but for a lot of people that are buying, they're still stuck in the contract.
But
you sign
okay.
and you get a phone from your carrier. For them, that's not that weird. You're just
So if
talking
they have a choice between paying whatever, like $38 a month for a V40 or $39 a month for a Note 9, they'll probably they'll get the
Yeah.
Note 9.
I mean, especially in the US where just no one cares about LG's phones.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is in the US, especially LG's a disadvantage because the reps are better trained with Samsung phones. Like that's who's selling a lot of these phones now. And they know they'll upsell the Samsung because, they can sell the accessories to go with it. The accessory presence for LG and all these carrier stores is probably pretty weak comparatively. So on the retail side, yeah, LG is getting its butt kicked. I think on just the flat out objective phone versus phone side, it's closer. I think LG is closer than ever has been the Samsung. I still think it's far enough away where it's like, well, no, you should just get the Samsung phone. The Note 9 has a much bigger battery, has twice the storage, It has a nicer screen. It still has a headphone jack. It still has an SD card slot. It has fast wireless charging, has IP68 regularization. It's very nicely put together. You know, there's not any one place where you're like, the LG phone really has an advantage here, other than like, it has an ultra wide camera.
And the Note also has an S Pen, which I think people like. I think people care more about that this year now that it has the Bluetooth button thing. Every time I've shown people like the camera thing where you can take a picture with the stylus, they're always really impressed by that, more than I would have expected. But apparently people care.
Yeah, that's really weird. I guess because we're talking about the same people for whom probably selfie sticks were like, wow, this is a good idea.
It is a mainstream crowd pleaser, is what it is.
Wait, I can selfie stick with a pen? I think that's basically what the thought process boils down to. In which case, yeah.
The dads of the world would love the V40.
I can keep my S Pen in my fanny pack and take selfies remotely.
With my cell phone belt buckle.
Oh, God. Belt holster. So I think like I said, I think the V40 is a good phone. I think if you buy it for whatever reason, maybe you get a really good deal on one, you'll be happy with it. I think the camera's way too aggressive in the processing of photos, as has been the case with LG phones for time immemorial at this point. But some people really like that, including one Michael Fisher, who I think trips over himself to talk about how much he loves the photos from LG's phones. And I think for the right person, they are very pleasing. They're very Instagrammable for sure. So if you want your photos to super pop right out of the camera, I think LG's phones do that more than Samsung, certainly. Like it's almost like posterized. It's so intense, the colors and the contrast and everything. So it looks kind of cool, but it's definitely not realistic. And the other thing, I guess, if you take a lot of selfies, the V40 does have two front-facing cameras, and you can use both of them. One gives you some extra field of view, which some people do appreciate, especially if you're taking like a big group selfie photo, which people do. So I think LG isn't. I don't think the extra cameras are just there to say we have 5. I think LG recognizes that some people are using their phones this way. That said, all the reviewers I read about, like, they're like, oh, well, yeah, the other camera's there, but I never use it. And I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to use that ultra wide camera. All the photos look silly.
Yeah, I would not use the ultra wide camera. I would use the telephoto. That is my favorite implementation of the dual or triple camera in this case.
Yeah, and I think what I found also disappointing about using them, there's a new triple shot mode on the camera where it takes 3 photos in sequence using each sensor. Well, when you use triple shot, the exposure turns out fairly even between the 3 photos. But if you manually switch between them, the exposure and the contrast and the white balance all changes because the sensor crop changes each time. And so you get 3 photos that are wildly different. I think the triple shot thing is a gimmick. It takes way too long to capture for most scenes. Like, you'll never capture an action shot with triple shot. It takes like 5 seconds at least for the whole thing to go through. So I think there are some good ideas in this LG phone, and I think it is definitely a refinement on the V30. I think the V30 was more flawed. The V40 has acceptable battery life, not great. It's definitely not Note 9 great, and that's one of the Note 9's biggest improvements. So overall, I think it's a good phone. I just think Samsung's making the great phone. Ryan is muted.
He is.
I was just going to say, Nokia announced a new phone that might be great if you want a cheap phone.
They did really good.
I used it for a little bit. I mean, honestly, I didn't have that much time with it. It was a very short briefing, but what I saw was pretty impressive. So I'll just break it down. $350, Snapdragon 636, which has the Qualcomm Cryo cores. It's not a generic ARM CPU. A pretty decent G.
Aren't the changes for the Cryo cores less than they ever were before?
These are basically the same cores from the 820, right?
Yeah, they're A73.
They're clocked a little lower.
Yeah, they're clocked pretty slow.
But I mean, it's misleading because the 630 is a way different chip than the 636.
Okay, so here's the way it works, actually. So 636 is really misleading. So Qualcomm has phased out the 66X series. That's done. The 700 series has replaced that. So the 700 series is there. All the bells and whistles, except the very best modem, except the very highest clock CPU, and maybe missing a couple little things like the very best DSP and like the ultra good ISPs, the image signal processors. The 6 series now, like the 636, that's basically where the old 66X and 65X processors were, which is, say, flagship CPU bits and kind of mid-grade everything else. So you still get the good raw performance that you want on the phone, but overall it comes in at a lower price point and the modem is significantly downgraded. I mean, that's something to consider, sure, but for the money, this is $350 and a Snapdragon 636 by comparison, you get that in the Moto Z3 Play. That phone's $500. So this is a pretty sweet deal. This one's got a 5.8-inch LCD. It's 19:9 aspect ratio. It's got the notch cut out. I think it looks totally fine.
It does have a real big chin, though.
It does. Has a
panel, but you can't
get
heavy.
Yeah, it has a fat chin. It is. It's
that is a Jay Leno chin.
Yep. So 3,060 mAh battery, dual rear cameras, but only uses one of them. The other one's just for depth sensing. It's a black and white sensor. Yeah, it's annoying. It does have headphone jack. It has NFC. It's going to get Android Pie before the end of November this year, says Nokia.
Oh.
So it's going to get Pie real fast. And it's got dual SIM for all markets and supports AT&T and T-Mobile in the US. So no CDMA support, which is a drag. I really wish they could be Project Fi phones because I think these Nokia phones would make great Project Fi phones, but I think that involves CDMA stuff with Sprint.
Yeah.
The only other the other caveats to note: so $350, no ruggedization rating. Nokia uses a proprietary 9-volt 2-amp fast charge, so they want you to buy their chargers, which is annoying.
Weird.
Yeah,
I feel like the 6.1 had like it would. I feel like that one's still fast charged with my Pixel charger. I should check again.
Maybe it might. So they, I asked about that. Like, does it use USB PD? And they're like, oh, we have our own thing. So, anyway, I think that this is the first one they've done at this tier that is all glass and metal, so glass rear. I think it looks great. This new silver one with the copper accents. Oh my God,
That's hot.
It's the prettiest mid-range phone I've ever seen. I think it looks awesome. The blue one's super boring, but the silver one, those copper accents, those are pretty good. Software's Android One, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. I think for $350, this is, at first I was like, I was looking at the 7 Plus from last year. And I was like, that seems like you can get one of those for about the same price used. And it seems like slightly better phone. But I think that, this form factor, the smaller size, the nice RAM, the colors, the design and everything, I think it all adds up. This seems like a very nice phone. I would like using this phone. I'd be curious to try it out. I'm trying to think if there are any other gotchas. So Nokia does advertise that the display is HDR10 compatible, which it is. So if you have Netflix, that's nice. They also say you can turn on HDR upscaling, which is just
it sounds like they're gonna like pump up the saturation or something for like pseudo HDR.
It forces a higher color space onto media content, and it's just an algorithm that guesses, how it should look. So it doesn't work.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you can disable that in settings. It's on by default. So FYI. But otherwise, I mean, no bloatware to speak of. Fast updates. What's not to like for $3? I think this is, this is one of the more interesting phones to come to the US market in quite some time.
Yeah, this is smack in the middle of that kind of dead zone we've had for a while. There have been compelling like $200, $250 phones, and there have been like $500, $600 phones. But this space has been relatively unoccupied for a few years.
Oh, and let me be clear. Nobody's going to buy it. And here's why. Everybody who would have bought it bought an Essential phone already.
Yeah.
No, it's totally true. Like the Essential phone's been such a great deal, such great specs for such a low value because it's been on fire sale for so long. Essential has like completely devoured the market for the high-end mid-range phone. And
especially for Android enthusiasts that would appreciate stock Android.
All they had to do was almost completely go out of business.
Yeah. Now outside the US, I don't know, but inside the US, I think Nokia is probably going to discover that it's a bit of a famine in terms of demand for something like this right now. I think it's a great phone. I just don't know that it's going to see much retail success here.
Yeah, and I really, I mean, I've said this from day one when Nokia brought their phones over the US. I really want them to sell these in actual stores. Like, I want to see them partner with T-Mobile or someone to sell their devices in actual retail stores. Because again, like there's some people that buy unlocked phones, especially more in this price range. Like obviously, no one's going out and buying a LG V40 unlocked for $900 on Amazon. But I think there are more people that buy unlocked phones online at this price range, but still not enough where they would get much saturation.
Yeah, I think the unlocked market in the US for online buyers is sub 250, especially sub 200. People want that $200-ish and a little bit lower price point. That's a sweet spot because I think mentally people have associated $199 on contract. That's what I paid for a phone for years. And so they figure, if I buy it outright, no contract, what a deal. 350 is a tougher sell. Not to say this phone isn't worth it. It absolutely is. I think Nokia, once again, makes a great value proposition here.
I wish I had a reason to buy one of these because it looks so cool. It's so pretty.
It does. Oh, that silver one's great. Love it.
Now, does it have? Okay, it does have NFC. I assumed it didn't because none of Nokia's
has NFC. Yeah.
Also, I'm fairly certain that the 6.1 did 15-watt fast charging with USB PD. So I imagine this one will too, unless they for some reason just got rid of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting phone. I can't wait to see a review of it.
Yes.
Speaking of hardware, this is the worst segue. Somebody sold
Speaking of things you can buy.
Yeah, speaking of things you can buy that aren't out yet, but somebody sold somebody anyway.
Like maybe if you get lucky, you can buy it, but like not officially.
And I don't understand what's really lucky about it because you can't even use it. Somebody sold somebody a 3rd-gen Chromecast at Best Buy. It doesn't have a Chrome ball on it anymore. It just has a G logo, and otherwise it looks exactly the same.
Well, it has like a matte finish now. It's not glossy plastic.
Chrome ball is the name for the Chrome logo.
I know that's what it is. I just think it's so funny.
And it's still a micro USB connection and everything. I mean,
yeah. And the guy said the new model doesn't have the magnetic latch on the HDMI. Yeah. That's the other.
That was kind of weird. That was a weird thing to have in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's losing or missing that.
Yeah, and at least a couple people bought these before. I don't know if Best Buy's actually done anything. They might not care at all, but at least one other person bought them because 9to5 obtained some pictures of them, and they actually took a picture of the back, and it does have the FCC ID that we saw a couple months ago. So presumably this is the one that has upgraded or it has Bluetooth. The current one does not, and upgraded networking things. So maybe
I wonder if maybe this is connected to Project Stream. If Google is hoping that you can use this to maybe connect a controller and stream some games.
I would be so surprised if it isn't, because honestly, like it just makes like so much sense.
Yeah,
like
because again, like
they're so cheap and people know how to use them.
Yeah,
it would be so great. Like hook that up and be like, okay, and also displays games now.
Open your phone and cast Assassin's Creed. That. Come on, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, and we can't. No one's been able to actually test the new Bluetooth or anything because when you try to set this up, the Google Home app tells you that you do not have the latest version of the app. So these don't actually work yet.
Yep, they do not. So buying one will just result in disappointment, unless you just want to look at it, in which case you'll be fully satisfied. So yeah, we'll see what kind of new features, if any, the Chromecast gets. I will not be surprised if the new Chromecast gets a stealth launch, where it's just like, oh, the Chromecast, yep, it's got the Google logo on it now, and that's it. So we'll see what happens. We already did the Twitch subscription shilling, but if you're just joining us and you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can subscribe to our channel on Twitch for free if you're not already subscribed to a Twitch channel, and it actually gives us money. You don't pay anything, it's free. So go to twitch.tv, subscribe to the Android Police channel if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, and then you can re-up every month. And again, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do this. You just have to link your Amazon account to your Twitch account.
And several people have subscribed during the show. So
they have. And you really are helping the podcast by doing this. Like you're a material contributor. So
we can thank them individually.
Well, we're thanking them by giving them the Ryan emoji.
Swedish182 just subscribed a few moments ago. So that was nice of Swedish.
You get that emoji.
This great emoji of Ryan laughing aggressively.
It's a good one.
Yes. I was there when that photo was taken. I can confirm it's authentic. So, speaking of China,
what What?
This story is pretty crazy. I don't think we'll talk about it very long, but it's just so bizarre. So apparently the Chinese government managed to get these tiny little surveillance chips inside the silicon boards of servers that are in operation at major US tech companies. Apparently not including Google, but
Allegedly.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Pretty nuts.
The size, so this chip is the size of one of the digits on the year on a penny. It's really small.
Yes.
It
So
doesn't do much itself.
the original report was in Bloomberg, and after that came out, Apple and Amazon, both of which were cited as having the spy servers, have both come out and said, "Nah, that's not true."
Yeah, no, Apple was like, hell no. I think Amazon was a little less defensive, but Apple was very aggressive in stating that it was not compromised. Still, pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
Also pretty neat.
And it's, I mean, I think it's worth pointing out. So the company that was apparently targeted, their server boards was, what was it called again? It was
Super Microcomputer Incorporated.
So that's a U.S. company, and they were just building the hardware in China, like most other electronics manufacturers do. And I don't know if anybody recalls, there was recently a lot of concern if like Huawei and ZTE phones had secret spy chips in them because they're owned by Chinese companies. This just goes to show you, it doesn't matter who owns it. The hardware.
They're all listening to us.
The hardware is being manufactured in China, and if somebody really wants to, they could probably get some stuff in there.
They're even there.
Given it's been refuted by everyone who was named in the Bloomberg report, until we get one of the sources coming out publicly or
Right.
a glimpse of this hardware, we don't know.
I mean,
Can I give my conspiracy theory that's going to immediately politicize this non-political tech podcast?
Yes, I
Do you think it's
definitely
for the upcoming election?
No, I think it's a plant by somebody in the administration trying to drum up anti-Chinese sentiment based on some kind of like one thing they discovered one time and saying like, hey, could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Somebody could have gotten one of these.
I'm unclear. All the pictures that Bloomberg has, if this is supposed to be the actual chip.
They don't state. They're not clear about that at all.
That's suspicious. If they have the actual hardware, then they need to like give that to a security research firm who can like.
Yeah, I want independent corroboration on this because it is a very, very bold claim.
Yeah,
Like the Chinese government, like I wouldn't put it past them by any means, but at the same time, like, if you're gonna say
this would be bold, like this would be serious business.
yeah, it'd be serious business. Like it would almost be like it would justify certain sanctions against the Chinese government. Anyway, moving away from topics that could lower our subscriber count. There's
Real
a
quick, Liam said, "Can we get a David's conspiracy theories podcast?"
It's just that. It's just that you heard the whole podcast.
So there's going to be a pixel that's colored sand or pink or salmon or flesh or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
flesh.
It looks gross. I don't like this.
I know. They make flesh. This does make me uncomfortable, though. It's like they tried to do rose gold and they just kind of gave up halfway.
That is the ugliest color. Oh my god.
It looks
is.
like it's like dirty white.
Okay, I feel like you have to see it in person.
Maybe like the
Oh
red-
no.
Yeah, that is a remarkable level of badness.
Unless
the
this
picture
is
does look bad. I agree. It
You
looks
remember
bad.
you remember the Sand Nexus 9? That was the
I
thing.
do.
That wasn't
was-
terrible.
That was flesh toned.
Yeah.
now. The only way I could see this looking better in real life is if this is like the newer HTC phones, where it's a completely different color in real life than it does in the actual press pictures because of the angle. So maybe this is like that.
I hope they call it barely beige.
Okay, if this
Almost
is
every Nexus phone has actually looked a lot worse in the photos that we had before it came out. And
That's
then
true.
it came out and we were all like, all right, that's not terrible. Or in some cases, like the Nexus 4 is like, all right, that actually looks pretty good.
and there
Michael
could be
is,
more than just the color.
I
If it's
wonder-
like that Cadillac style opalescent off-white, that'd be sick.
I wonder though if this is going to be the weird color that they make a Verizon exclusive this year, because last year you could only get that mint version of the Nexus 2, or not Nexus, the Pixel 2 on Verizon.
The
That's
mint
gonna
was
be
so
a-
good. The mint was the best color.
Yeah, but this would be a really mean thing to do to Verizon.
You know, like come to Verizon. We have the Flesh Pixel.
It's camouflage in your hand. People won't even know that you have a phone in your hand.
You crave pixel flesh.
Special guest Zool.
This is really unpleasant for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not a good color based on the render. I feel like it'll look better in person, or maybe it'll look worse. Who knows? So speaking of things that are disappointing, let's talk about Wear OS.
Hey,
Oh, I guess we could talk about
I don't
our
know
Google.
things.
Okay, we could do our Google event predictions.
Oh, yeah.
We already know it's going to happen. I think the only thing we haven't seen yet, new Pixel Buds.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to happen, and they better be much less.
And it better be snip, snip, snip.
Yes,
Like that better be the whole Pixel Buds 2 design
Wireless.
prerogative.
if there's a wire, then Google is not doing it right.
They are not.
Yeah, I mean, me and Cody were talking about this on the Q&A show. Is that everything has been leaked? Like even the stuff that would be super minor, like the Chromecast and Home Mini bundle that leaked earlier this week. Like even the little stuff is already known.
Except for
So,
software.
You know,
we still
what it
don't know
is. So
about
yeah.
that.
So you knew why. You know why this is. So Google this year is apparently planning to do the Apple thing where it's like you can pre-order it all tomorrow or today or whatever, you know. And so it's all there and all ready to go, which in turn relies on people working retail not putting things on the floor. And Google, I think, is discovering as usual that, well, that's harder than it sounds. Apple has the benefit of its own retail stores, so it can keep all the stuff to itself until it absolutely needs to. Google, not so much. I won't be surprised if we see one. Assuming the Google Home tablet taped to a cash register does not get delayed a month out. You know, I bet one of those is going to pop out at Best Buy here pretty soon.
The Google POS.
Yes, the Google point of sale system.
Oh,
Oh,
I completely forgot what I was
Funny
going
you.
to say. That's ignore me.
I always do.
Hey, that's rude.
But yeah, so I don't think that there are going to be any surprises at this event. There's definitely not going to be a third Pixel phone. If anybody still is under the delusion that
Oh, I was going to make a joke about if Google does do everything's on sale now, then it will sell out in 2 hours and won't be
Probably.
back in stock for 2 weeks.
That would be typical.
That's usually how these things go.
Pretty much.
yep.
If anything, what I'm kind of looking forward to or hoping is that someone's going to walk out on stage and be like, so you guys probably already know. We're announcing this. And, just continue on. Like they should joke about this. The best possible thing they can do after all these leaks is just like play into it, lean into it, and have fun with it.
Well, isn't that what everyone thinks they're doing? Because a couple YouTube channels said Google wanted footage of their videos or whatever that was about.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think they're gonna, be silly about it, which is fine. And it's totally Google to do that. So I do
surprised with the Chromebooks, at least. We don't know too much of the details about them still.
well, I think we're gonna see on the regular Chromebook, if they do refresh it, narrower bezels and probably a processor update. I think it's gonna be very minor. I think the star of the show will be the Pixel books or the Pixel Slate. Which it sounds like, based on the Geekbench scores that are coming out, is going to have a slew of processor choices, all the way down to a Celeron and all the way up to a Y series i7. So maybe the Slate will have a pretty wide set of price points it's going to come in at. We'll
That'd
see.
be cool.
Yeah. And there was also rumors that the new Pixel book, or maybe it was this late, one of them would be able to dual boot Windows, which is interesting.
I sincerely doubt that. I
Yeah.
think that's an internal development tool for Google.
I think if that is real, then it obviously won't come with Windows. You'll have to go hunt down your own.
Yeah,
I
obviously.
think Google does that so they can be like, look, it's in the source code. If you really want to, you can do it. And also, we do this in our spare time. I'm sure Google would love that if Microsoft would allow it. And I just don't see it happening. It's such a narrative. It's such a narrative mismatch for Google, and their whole narrative with Chromebooks is it's simple, it's easy, it does what you need it to. It's very secure.
You know what it would do though is going by what Chrome OS has been adding recently. They'll add a Windows subsystem on top of Chrome OS.
Ooh, I bet Microsoft lawsuits would fly.
Yeah.
There's no way Microsoft would allow that. Hey, use all of our proprietary application code, but don't have to pay for a license. I don't think
Google
that's ever
becomes
gonna
the sole backer of wine.
happen.
I could see that happening actually.
Google
think so.
buys wine.
I think robust Linux app support would be cool. What I want on Chrome OS is I don't want to have to actually deal with installing Linux apps. I just want a repository of Linux applications, and I just want them to install like normal apps. And
I would like
You
I would
can
like
kinda do that.
GPU. I would like
Yeah.
GPU acceleration for Linux apps. That'd be great.
Well, David, lucky for you, we have a guide on androidpolice.com where you can install the the GNOME software repository, and it's just an app you open, and you can install other apps from it. So
This sounds pretty complicated.
It's pretty easy.
it takes like 5 minutes.
It's like an app store.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
It's there. It's on Android Police.
I've avoided becoming literate for years. Not about to start now. So Wear OS. Let's talk about Wear OS because some Wear OS stuff happened this week, and most of it's bad. Some of it's less bad. I think most of it's pretty bad though.
I mean,
So,
I mean, this is the new Wear OS. I guess version 2.1 or 2.0, depending on what the watch decides to tell you. It's kind of ridiculous. I think that's good. It's better than what we had before.
Yes.
It does not solve any of the deeper problems with Google's wearable platform, but I enjoy using it more than I did the last version.
Oh, do you have it yet?
I do. I got it on. I'm not on the watch I'm wearing, obviously, but on a TicWatch Pro. I got it the other day. I've used it for a while, and it's all right. I think notifications still are not bundled, which annoys me to no end. But it's now just a continuous scroll for the notifications, so it's a lot easier to get through things and find stuff than it was with the old version, which was a paginated UI. So every single email you had to swipe like all the way across the watch face to like flick to the next email, and that was terrible.
That was real bad.
They have like an assistant feed thing now to the left of the watch face. That's kind of cool. You no longer you can change watch faces just like with long press. You don't swipe left and right like you did before. That was a terrible waste of a gesture. So it's swipe one way for assistant, you swipe the other way, and you get Google Fit, which is nice, but Google Fit is still woefully behind many of the other options on wearables. It's just it's okay. That's kind of the bottom line. Google's software on watches, it's just okay. It's not great.
Yeah.
And the one thing that is nice about this is that most of the new UI and the apps and everything is actually just an update to the Wear apps on the watch itself. So if your watch got Android Wear 2.0, it will also get this at some point, which is kind of nice. So you don't have to wait for like Fossil or whatever to push out a system update.
Yeah, that is true.
So one little criticism I want to throw in, and maybe this is something they'll do, but I really hope that they make it so you can replace Google Fit as the swipe from the right.
Yeah,
I know most people really want fitness on their watch, and that's great, but you know what? I'd love to see other app developers have the option to like register as it
would be nice
that can go in that slot.
Yeah, it would be nice, but I feel like it would be difficult to have something like that running continuously in the background that isn't built into the system. There might be issues with that.
Even if it's not running all the time, if you could just set an app to open when you swipe, that'd be really nice. Because when I exercise, I actually don't wear my watch at all. I just go by what the treadmill says I ran. So I would very much like to switch the app to be something else.
Yeah,
like
I mean
Spotify.
The problem with Google Fit is that it's just not very good. It's not. I mean, having it there is a nice gesture, but it's not very useful. It can't automatically detect exercise like Fitbit or Samsung's health stuff can. It just it does your heart rate and your steps, and you can like manually configure exercises.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
stupid.
but
David is muted. He's talking now.
I have not used the new Wear OS. I haven't used a Wear OS watch in it's been probably 2 years. I am very happy with that state of affairs. I don't miss a smartwatch. I don't crave a smartwatch. Even the Apple Watch Series 4, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't want it, but it's cool.
Bring back Pebble.
Nah, I feel like there's room in the market for a smartwatch that is like between Wear OS and Fitbit in terms of functionality. That was Pebble.
That's really what I want. I want the fitness and health tracking and very, 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 very basic smart integration. I don't need all the extra
I mean, I want my watch to at least last 3 or 4 days on a charge is the thing. And I need it to be light enough that I don't get sick of wearing it. Like a lot of Android Wear OS devices, they're just too clunky and I take them off all the time.
They are chunky. Speaking of chunky, the LG Watch W7 is it's pretty dumb. It's pretty bad.
This thing. So this is the long rumored smartwatch with mechanical hands. Like right just smack dab in the middle of the display. So they're right in the way of the things you want to see. But you can press the button on the side to move the hands and like scoot the content slightly up so you can read it, which is a ridiculous workaround. This should not have been a thing ever.
Oh no, it's totally ridiculous. And it also weighs more than the Galaxy Watch by like 16 grams.
Yeah. And doesn't it lack a heart rate sensor as well?
No heart rate sensor, no NFC, 1.2-inch display, 240 mAh battery. This thing just sounds bad. It's a last-gen Snapdragon processor too.
And it costs $450.
It's completely insane.
Who thought this was a good idea to launch this thing? I can't fathom.
Oh no, it's absolutely ridiculous. Nobody's going to buy this. Nobody.
Yeah, I think we were talking before the show, and I am pretty convinced that LG was going to launch this earlier this year, and it was going to be like a giveaway at I/O, and then they were like, oh wait, we can't give this to people. Everybody's gonna like, if we give out 1,000 of these, we're gonna have 1,000 people complaining about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I think it is. The physical hands thing is just like, this is something that to a product designer and an engineer sounds like we're going to hybridize, the mechanical watch with the digital watch. It's going to be a meeting of technologies. And it's like, no, this is dumb. This is like making a gas-powered car with pedals. Nobody cares, man. Like we did this to get away from the pedals.
Oh, you know what this is? This is a moped.
It is. It's the moped of watches. And it is dumb and bad, and LG should feel bad about it. I think this product
play with one.
Steven did, but he's not here.
Yeah.
I was wondering how the touchscreen works.
What do you mean?
It works like a touchscreen with a giant hole in the middle.
Yeah, so you've got like a big gap then between the surface you're touching and the actual screen, considering there's an air gap with moving hands on the inside and another piece of glass, right?
Oh, capacitance can travel a fair distance, so I'm guessing
that's pretty far.
It would. It probably just. It looks a little odd. It probably looks like more like a real watch, because a real watch would have a gap between the glass and the.
I bet it's hard to line up like precise touches though, because I bet it's thick.
If you watch, I think it was Engadget's video, they show a lot of like weird sort of side angles of the watch, and you can see that rainbow shimmer effect. So I'm pretty sure what they've done is they probably have a capacitance shield basically pressed up against the glass, and then you're just looking at the screen well below it. So yeah, you're going to have like that distortion of having the glass well above the screen, but the capacitance shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. So I think this watch, we can confirm, is dead on arrival. There's no market for this.
Yeah.
It's a proof of concept, and it's not a very good one. In terms of probably a slightly brighter future for Wear OS, if you can call it that, the Huawei Watch GT leaked this week, and it's basically, I would say, aesthetically, I don't see anything interesting here, but functionally, it sounds like it's got the new Wear 3100 chip. It's going to last maybe a full week on a charge with a big 420 mAh battery, and has all the features you want: GPS, NFC, accelerometer, compass, Bluetooth, etc. And it doesn't look terrible. I think this is probably the right way for Huawei to do a smartwatch. At the same time, I just wish they would make the original one.
I know, right?
New technology inside.
It is. I'm so baffled at Huawei's reluctance to do this. It's like they didn't know what they were doing the first time, and they just accidentally made a really attractive smartwatch. But they're like, no, wait, we can try harder. It'll be better, promise. And now they keep trying, and it's worse.
They did, and honestly, it's worse. Like, hey, let's make it look like a sports watch. Let's make it look like a sports watch. Let's make it look like a sports watch, guys. I don't think I think Apple has successfully proven that even for watch people, you know, you can get outside the regular watch aesthetic as long as, you know, it looks unique and interesting. I think that trying to make your smartwatch look like a chronograph is just dumb. It's like making out of fiberglass a retro car with brand new internals. It's dumb. It appeals to some weird old dude. I want smartwatches to like reference a real watch without trying to look exactly like a real watch.
Yeah,
it's silly.
I do like the dual tone band they have going on, but I do not like the numbers around the bezel. I've always hated that. It just looks tacky.
Oh yeah, the tick mark. Yeah,
it's way too busy.
Well, it's just so they can house the NFC. You know, they need something on there on that circular bit.
But I don't want NFC. Like, it's really hard to use on Wear OS, isn't it?
No.
Isn't it supposed to be faster now?
Okay. I only have the first gen Huawei watch, so I am missing out on all this.
Qualcomm, when they briefed me about the 3100, said it's the next generation of wearable NFC, which I hope means way faster, because as is, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I'd still like to think they'll do something with NFC just besides payments.
That's the only reason I want them in the first place. I use NFC payments pretty often, so yeah, I could dig having it on a watch. I just don't want to have to press a button on the watch. I just want to just go, bam, done. You know?
Yeah, like on a phone, you can just hold it up to the kiosk, and Google Pay will open and do its thing if it's set to the default. I would like that to happen on watches too.
Yeah. But what they want to avoid is having somebody literally walk past you and hold a reader up to your wrist and while you're not paying attention. That's why they don't do that.
I mean, somebody could do that with a phone in your pocket too, though. It's not that much harder.
Except if the screen is off on your phone, they can.
But if the watch is in ambient mode, then it should just be off. It should only turn on when the screen is awake.
Unless somebody like lightly brushes your watch or you move your wrist the wrong way,
this is getting complicated.
No, I think it's not that hard on your watch to trick it. Your phone is a harder challenge.
The solution to this is that the watch should take a blood sample every time you try to pay with it.
I mean,
just prick your wrist.
The number that's being sent isn't like your real number anyway, so I don't think it's actually useful if somebody takes it.
Yeah. So I think that rounds out the news for this week. I mean, we could talk about Wear OS for forever, but
you guys definitely could.
Wear OS is sad, and I think it's easy to talk about sad things for a long time. But again, just to remind everybody listening to the podcast this week, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, if you don't know what Twitch is, you're perfect for us.
Yeah, you are our target audience.
Go to twitch.tv, look for our channel, Android Police, and subscribe to Android Police. So subscribing on Twitch costs money unless you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, in which case you get one free subscription.
Yes, you just have to connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account.
Yep, and that gives us money directly. Like, it's just money goes to us. It costs you nothing other than time, which is to say it costs you probably very little. So maybe 5 minutes of your time. You do have to re-up every month if you want to keep supporting us, which we would greatly appreciate. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. But just doing it once is good. That's good. If you can
better than nothing.
On that note, two people we have to thank: Jedi Mind Trick on You and Twing Gangsta.
Also,
we
bonus
sound like
points,
old people trying to read the chat.
Bonus points if your username is really confusing or inappropriate, and then you'll force us to read it on the show. Which
that's true. You will force us to read it.
We haven't read like half of these bits.
Unless it's bannable by the Twitch TOS, in which case we won't read it.
Yeah. Your username cannot be Ryan takes off his shirt.
I'll do it.
No, don't do it. We'll get banned. But no, about Wear OS, I like it, but I also don't use any Wear OS apps. So it's nice for me, but I would probably be just as content with a watch that only showed my notifications and nothing else.
I kind of wish my Beam had watch straps, because I would just put this on my wrist and look down and see GIFs.
You just put a GIF of a clock and just like whatever times you want, it can just like cycle through them.
Yeah. Well, you can just have it be a still image, and it would be right twice a day.
Just a GIF with 60-second frames.
Yeah. Someone asked you for the time. It's 43. Wait, what? It's 45 now.
It's frame 43 right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, everybody, and we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.